credit to what LeBron did tonight individually, becoming the fourth all-time scorer, passing Michael Jordan. And what's to me the most incredible part about that is what an unselfish player that he is. For someone that's always looking past first, to score that many points in his career just speaks to the greatness to his game, and it was pretty special and pretty cool to be a part of. Unfortunate that it came in a loss, but still a pretty awesome moment.
Luke, what did you make of that second half effort from some of the guys on the bench?
I said we're looking for guys that are going to play the way we need to play. And as I understand where we're at with the injuries, but there's a certain way to play this game, and that's the respect you show for the game, and we found it in the second half with a couple different groups, consisting of guys, that J3 and AC and Mo and Josh Hart was out there with that group a lot. Rondo and Braun coming in and out, but that's win or lose. That's how we need to play. And it's more fun for the crowd that way. It's the way the game is meant to be played, and it gives us our best chance of winning.
When you start to get some of the guys back, or Kuzma, Ingram, eventually Lonzo, do you still anticipate using more players and getting more minutes for certain guys?
Not if we're playing with that energy. I mean, not if we're playing that way with the group. That's how we should be playing. But if we're not getting that done, then yeah, we'll continue to find the guys that are playing that way.
Luke, with this stretch that you've had since the All-Star break, making the playoffs a tough possibility, and then seeing what the young guys gave you tonight, and then also knowing that managing LeBron's body is going to be a priority for the duration he's in LA, is it still all moving always forward towards just winning the remainder of the season, or could the kind of the goals for the remainder of the year change?
The goals could change possibly. Right now, we're still, with our group. Even when the season started, our goals were to, let's get in these playoffs and make some noise. But we rely on so many young players. Player development was still a big part of what we needed to do this season. Heading into next season, we needed the growth from young players. So now the amount and the priority, that might change as we go down this final stretch of the season. But for now, we're out there. We're trying to win.
Luke, did you sense any sort of early tightness or any sort of different energy from LeBron chasing that record? And did it seem to you like he wanted to get it out of the way?
He's saying it was a little different. I mean, he was smiling and having fun, but I think there was, someone that studies the game and knows the game and respects the game the way he does, knowing that moment was most likely a few minutes ahead of him, I think was probably did something to, as far as nerve-wracking, however you want to make it. That probably did something to him that he doesn't normally feel in a regular season game.
Luke, over here. How much thought did you put into how you and the organization would handle that moment when he did eclipse?
I don't put any thought into that. That's not what I do. I got a lot on my plate. From what I was told, we wanted to do something. The NBA said, "No, you're not stopping the game for it." But that's just what I was. I'm not involved in the ceremony part of awards in the middle of games.
Luke, what do you think it is about passing Michael on an all-time scoring list that does that for every player? I mean, I remember when Kobe passed Michael, that was a really big thing for him, and for LeBron, it was obviously a big deal.
Well, I think guys, especially those two, I mean, they grew up knowing that Michael's the greatest ever. And he's not only the greatest ever, but the way he scored the ball and how dominant he was and how no defense could stop him, I think probably lives in their minds like it does mine. A little different than Kareem, for example. A lot of the Kareem stuff we see is on tape. We didn't witness that live. So I think anyone that grew up idolizing Michael Jordan, like most of this country did, to pass him in scoring, it probably means a little more to those guys.
All right, there's Luke Walton on a night where, as he said, take time to recognize the accomplishment of LeBron James, who said before he was hyped up, he was emotional following the moment. What about after the game? Here's LBJ.
LeBron, it looked like you had "Thank you, MJ" written on your shoes. Just how could you describe what it meant to you to pass him, considering how you grew up thinking about him as a player?
I don't know, man. A lot of stuff that I've done in my career, this ranks right up there at the top. We're winning a championship. For a kid from Akron, Ohio, that needed inspiration and needed some type of positive influence, MJ was that guy for me. I watched him from afar. Wanted to be like MJ. Wanted to shoot fadeaways like MJ. Wanted to stick my tongue out on dunks like MJ. Wanted to wear my sneakers like MJ. I wanted kids to look up to me at some point like MJ, and it's just it's crazy, to be honest. It's beyond crazy.
Were there things you had to do tonight to kind of handle the emotions of that moment, knowing it was going to approach and waiting for that basket to hit?
Obviously, I didn't handle my emotions very well in the beginning. I started 0 for 4 from the free throw line. That ball was flying off my hand, and it was just, I didn't know how it was going to happen. I figured I can go out there and get 13 points at some point, but I didn't know how it was going to happen. A couple teammates asked me if I had 12 points or whatever the case may be, or 11 points, how would I like it to be? I said either a fadeaway in the post or off 2 feet, lean in, tongue out, dunk on the break. It's crazy.
LeBron, Luke just calls you a pass-first player in some ways. You always say you're a basketball player. Is there something about the scoring list, though, and Jordan on that hits it in a certain way?
No, it hits it in a certain way because I am a pass-first guy. I've always been a pass-first guy. I've always, since I started playing the game of basketball and was taught by my little league coach and father figure, Frank Walker, he always said you get a lot more thrill out of seeing your teammates succeed. And that's how I was taught. I was taught to play the game the right way, get my guys involved, get my teammates involved. When I was first started playing basketball, we had kids that was much smaller than me that couldn't get shots for themselves. So, I would literally, had to get them shots. We had one kid on our team that literally couldn't dribble. So I would get a rebound and actually roll the ball to him all the way up into the hole, and he would just pick it up off the ground and lay it in. And I got a kick out of that. So that's why it's so crazy to me right now that, that's why it's so crazy to me just seeing, where I'm at in the scoring of all-time greats in this game of basketball, because I've never been about scoring.
LeBron, there was a moment in the timeout you spent quite a bit of time to yourself and covered your face with the towel. What was that moment like for you? And if you hadn't been covering your face, what would we have seen?
It was very emotional. Very emotional. A lot of things that was going on inside me at that point in time. I wanted to look up at the scoreboard to kind of see what was going on up there, but at the same time, I didn't want to show what was going on behind that towel. So it's just crazy. Me and my best friends, this is all we talked about was MJ. All we talked about is MJ. Outdoor courts, we used to play outdoor ball, and, in the snow, in the rain in Northeast Ohio, and we all wanted to be MJ. We all wanted to be MJ, every last one of us, and it's crazy. Like my high school my high school best friends, they text me, and they just like, they can't believe it. I can't believe it because we just remember like walking up and down, you know, the Akron streets with a basketball, just, you know, singing, I want to be like Mike, and it's crazy.
What was the
What
last
season back then you wore 23 for the first time? Do you remember what season in your youth you wore 23 for the first time? Like what grade or?
I think the first time I wore 23 was my first time playing AAU ball, and when that was happened to be 5th grade, I believe, and I just had started in 4th grade. I had just played 1 year before that, but I've always it's crazy. I've always wanted to wear, 2-3. My first year in high school, we didn't have new uniforms, and as a freshman, you kind of just gotta figure it out. And what's crazy, I wore 32, and 32 was like my second favorite number because of Magic. And then I was able to move on. We got new uniforms my sophomore year, and I was able to get 23 for the rest of my high school career.
What was the last time something made you feel this emotional?
I think the 30,000 was pretty cool too. Was that in San Antonio? Because I did it with Wade, and Wade was in Cleveland with me, and we had shared so many moments, and to know not many people have done that. That was pretty cool to share. He was, on the team as well. We just did so much together. That was pretty cool. Obviously, you guys saw my emotions after winning the championship, and what year was that? 16. So you guys saw my emotions after that game. I don't know.
What was it most about Jordan that when you guys were playing at the park? What stood out the most to him? What made him the guy for you?
What made him the guy for everybody? He was everything. I mean, you name it, he was everything. Obviously we all saw how unbelievable he was on the floor, but his swag, the way he wore his shoes, the way he wore his shorts, with the tights hanging out, with the 2-3 on the tights, the way he wore his his calf sleeve, he folded it down so you could see the red part on the other side, the way he wore his wristband on his elbow with the 2-3. Everything. I mean, you used to see cars he used to pull up in at the old stadium in Chicago. Obviously, the Gatorade commercials, the McDonald's commercials. I used to watch a cartoon. I think it was called The All-Stars. It was Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, Bo Jackson, and maybe one other guy. You guys remember that? You guys are older than me, right? You guys remember that? The All-Stars? They was like superheroes, and yeah, it was animated. It was animated. And they had like little action figures. They came out with action figures and all type of stuff. I mean, just listen, man. I always tell you guys, like, when you're an inner city kid from Akron, Ohio, like myself and my guys growing up, you look for anything, any lightning in the bottle that can inspire you, because you just always put up against the numbers of failing. The percentages of guys like myself, single parent household, only child, underprivileged, making it out it's not high at all. And MJ had a lot to do with me making it out, along with my mother, along with the city itself, along with the little league coaches I had. But Mike had no idea what he was doing for a kid that was growing up, 45 minutes flight away from Chicago when he was putting in that work.
How did the context of kind of where this team is and where you guys were in that game, I think you were down 15 after the free throw, did that alter what that moment in the moment was for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. At the end of the day, we're still struggling, and I hate that for our franchise. I hate that for our fans. I hate that for myself. I think I give a lot of credit to Alex and Mo and J3. Them coming in, having played all year, and basically giving us an opportunity to kind of win that game. And it was special to see those guys play the way they played and showcase their talent, especially on national television.
Last two questions, please.
Knowing that you have a whole school behind you, the I Promise school, and you're now kind of that leader that, Jordan was for you, can you kind of just describe the impact that has on you and your message to them?
No, it's different. I don't think, MJ wasn't a leader for me because he wasn't around. I didn't, my leaders was my little league coaches, my city. MJ was an inspiration. MJ was a lightning in the bottle for me because I wanted to be like him. I wanted to aspire to be like Michael. But it's hard to be a leader when you're not around. It's like saying, is my father a leader? He wasn't. My mother is a leader. It's two different things in that sense. But for me to be able to have a school and for me to see my kids when I can, like I did earlier this season, but to be able to check in with them through phone calls and check in with them through videos and to see what they're doing every day, it means a lot for me to be able to be an inspiration. And that's what it's about. MJ was an inspiration to me, and it's pretty cool that I could be an inspiration to my kids in my hometown.
I know you talk to us a lot about what MJ means to you. Have you ever gotten a lot of opportunities to tell him, what he meant to you when you were growing up? Have you been able to express that?
Nah. You want that to be the last one?
If you and MJ were talking right now, what would that conversation be like?
I don't know. He'd probably get a lot of the words that I just gave y'all. Like I said, the first time I met him, I was 15 years old. I went up to Chicago, and they used to play summer basketball, and I went up there, and you could probably go to one of my old interviews, and I was, much younger, and I said it was like meeting Jesus. That was my depiction of what Jesus would be like, when I met MJ, because I just never thought I would be able to meet him. I never thought that I would see him. You always seen him on TV or in Sports Illustrated or Sports Illustrated for Kids or basketball cards, if you were lucky. If you were lucky to get a pack with MJ in it. See him on Wheatie boxes, and I would always see his posters when I would go. Me and my friends would walk in the mall. We would see the shoe stores, and obviously I wasn't able to afford Jordans at that point in time in my life, but I would just always love what he was about, and then watch him on TV. So I would give him a lot of the conversation that I'm giving you guys. Sorry, I'm clicking this thing a lot, but it's keeping me calm. It's just, you guys have no idea, man. And I'm trying to give it to you guys, but you guys have no idea what MJ did for me and my friends growing up. Just in the sense of, some days where you just don't even feel like you're gonna make it to the next day where I grew up, because of everything that's going on. So, like I wrote on my shoes tonight, like you saw, I thank MJ more than he'd ever known, and I gotta carry it on to the next kid. Hopefully, I can inspire the next kid, like myself. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, so LeBron moves up the list, past Michael. Next on the list, that other Laker, Kobe Bryant, 33-6-43. More from this game.